Hello, Dai here from Timeslip Softworks. Welcome to development video 51, which covers the release of Viglantes version 27. Version 27 is another large content and balance update. The headline in this update is the addition of Kaya Winters, who's the final ally to be added to the game. Now you can see her here. She's a narcotics officer, and in terms of how she can be built, she's something of a generalist, so you could build her for melee combat, range combat, or something else. Her unique perk is Atheist, which grants a 20% damage bonus against the Church of the Final Exodus characters. Now you're looking at the new map which has been added in this update. It's another one of the outskirts maps, farm obviously enough. And I think this brings it to like 44 maps now, which is just one short of the 45 which we agreed on in the Kickstarter. One of the larger mechanical changes in this update is the addition of melee interrupts. Now, this is something I've been kind of working on the last couple of updates to try and distinguish the two primary combat skills, melee and ranged. Now, firearms I think is something of an advantage because before this update, it was basically, except in a couple of circumstances, superior at every range. This doesn't make an awful lot of sense, if you have a highly skilled melee fighter who's still at a disadvantage, who's still better off probably to pull out a gun and try to shoot the character up close. So what melee interrupts do, if you have a melee equipped character, as we can see we've two here, and you try to use a ranged weapon or throw an explosive, there's a chance that they will interrupt you. So I'll just try to do this, and you can see the chance is 64%. So we'll just try to make an attack and see. So we've just taken a hit there and fired. Now as you can see, the attack will still go through. You won't have to try again, but it basically means, if you're up against very skilled melee fighters up close and you're trying to use a gun, you're going to be at a bit of a disadvantage. It will make positioning more important as well for ranged characters and mobility. And moving on, I'm going to just go back to the home base to show you the rest of the stuff. I think in total 6 weapons have been added in this update, and this is kind of probably one of the largest amounts of weapons added in a single update in quite some time. First one we have the Nobuki Ronin Plus, which is an upgrade of this weapon here, so it's also an additional crafting option in the game. It increases accuracy, critical chance, and the capacity of the gun. We also have the Eurocorp Tactical here. It's the highest tier SMG. We have the General Arms Breacher, which is currently the best shotgun in the game. And finally we have a Katana. We have Sledgehammer, so a very powerful blunt weapon, and Fire Axe. So we're getting into some of the kind of higher level items that will be in the game at this point. Knuckle Dusters have also been added. It's the only utility item added in this update. It increases unarmed damage by 10%, and that's also a crafting option. And moving on to perks. There's been 5 perks already covered. Atheist, which is Kaya Winter's unique perk. We have Behemoth. Now this is a higher level melee perk, and what this is trying to address is the fact that melee characters have to get closer to do any damage, so they're at a pretty big disadvantage, and this reduces their incoming damage by 25%. This is a higher end this is a higher end perk, which has a requirement that you already have the Tough Guy perk, and the stats will also be higher for it later on. So this will, add a little extra damage mitigation to melee characters to even them up a little. And we also have Fast Off the Blocks plus 3 initiative. Now since attacks of opportunity and melee interrupts are part of the chance of them triggering is based on initiative, this would be a good one to pick if you want to have a melee character that interrupts. It's very good at interrupting other characters, and it's also good obviously if you want to come high up in the initiative queue. There's Grazed Limbs, which is for shotguns, and it means that a shotgun attack has a 15% chance to inflict shaky hands or the hamstrung status effect. We have Soldier, which increases assault rifle damage by 15%. And to finish off the content, there's also post-combat dialogue for when you encounter Ray Case, Emilia DeSoto, and Elena Furious. This will kind of flesh out their motivation for joining you a little better. And there's also a new dialogue encounter called Insurance Claim. Moving on to balance, enemies now start with lower stats. They level up more quickly. Now the reasoning behind this is that I've found that starting on, say, hard-boiled or higher, the game tends to start off very difficult, but the enemies don't level up quickly enough. So this means that the game starts difficult and gets easier. Now, this should basically help with creating a better difficulty curve in the game. It doesn't affect the two easier difficulty levels that much, but in terms of when you move on to hard-boiled or higher, the enemies will start to level up considerably faster. It's still totally possible to outpace them. That's the idea. You still have to be able to outpace them to catch up with the bosses, but it's going to be a bit harder and you're going to have to be a bit more efficient. The shop level now increases as you trade. So as you can see now, there's a shop level here, and as you buy and sell items, it will increase. And there's also a certain number, basically more armor components in the game. So each day there's a default level of armor components are added, and then the shop will add additional ones to this, because it's very hard to actually build up armor, and I may increase this further in subsequent updates. I'll have to just continue playing and see how it works. In terms of stats, there have been a couple of changes. It was pointed out quite fairly, I think, that fleetness is by far the best stat. So what I've done is I've increased the amount of bonus hand-to-hand damage and the amount of additional damage you do from blunt and bladed weapons from prowess. It also increases your critical chance. For instinct, I've increased the critical chance. For leadership, your proximity from the team members to the team leader is no longer a factor, and the command bonus is larger, so the chance to hit bonus is larger. So that boosts leadership a little. Toughness now gives you 6 HP per stat point rather than 4, so again that's 50% more effective now. Armor itself takes more damage before it becomes broken, so it's a bit more effective going forward. Another thing is that firearms and explosives do more damage, but they don't scale anymore. So basically your firearms is no longer, the amount of damage you do with the firearm is solely connected to the firearm you're using, as opposed to the firearm's skill level. Now, instead of this, there's scaling with critical chance. So the more skilled you are, the more chance there will be of getting a critical hit against an enemy. Now, melee still does function as with close combat, actually provides a bonus to damage. So this means that melee will kind of provide a more graded bonus, or more graded bonuses to the amount of unarmed damage you can do. Whereas with firearms, if you want to do more damage, you're outside, say, doing more critical hits, you're going to have to get a better firearm. Quite a few people didn't really like damage scaling for firearms and explosives, so I thought I'd at least try it to see how it went. The attack of opportunity chance is higher now and is increased by having a higher melee skill. And beyond that, it's largely been fixes. Oh, sorry, there is actually one more thing. This is something that's been requested quite a few times, and I've really only got around to it now. There's information displayed on the map. You can basically see everything at a glance now. So you can see that this is held by the Churchers, this is held by the Mafia, by the Survivalists. You don't know who's holding the sector. You can also add in the danger level. You can pick. You can check the wealth, the crime rate, and this will also show up any lieutenants or rackets that you've discovered. And the legend is just here for what's what. Red racket, blue boss, green lieutenant. Other than that, it's mostly been down to fixes. Fixed a number of typically minor bugs, and thanks to everyone who's provided information on reported bugs and left feedback, because this is helping quite a lot to tune the game experience as we kind of move into the last couple of months of development. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.